podcast called Jellison Podcast.
First ever type 1 diabetic in UFC history.
Doing fine, Dub. Nice to be with you.
Get out! He's like, yeah.
My tunnel vision and my periphery, I'm like off field.
Hey, you know how it is, though. Hey, when your team.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of Jellison Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Sam Dekker. Sam, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming on. So I know you just recently got back from Turkey. How's everything at home and just having the chance to kind of sit back and relax and not have to worry about basketball too much?
It's great. I think everyone needs a little bit of time after the season, especially overseas guys, because it's 10 months away from family, friends, your pets, your kids, your bed. So, it's nice to be home and just kind of decompress a little bit and just kind of just revel in being home, seeing people, seeing friends. And so right now I'm taking a little bit of time off here. I'm staying active. We got a lot of yard work and stuff, so I'm still breaking a sweat, but no basketball it's been almost a week now. I'll do, maybe another week, nothing on the court, and then slowly ease my way back into it. And it's important to give your body and also your brain some time off here.
Mm-hmm. Do you get are you kind of itching to get back even if it's been a week?
A little bit, because it's so much part of what you do. Mm-hmm. My daily schedule is usually incorporated around practice time, game time, shoot around time, lifting. So right now it's weird when you don't have an alert on your phone about have to be here, have to be there. So it takes some time, but it's not too bad. It's actually nice to kind of have a clear schedule and dedicate some time to Olivia, my wife, and our families. So, but I think here probably after this weekend, I'll probably be like, all right, I need to get back on the court. I'm ready to roll. So I'm wired that way. We all are. And once I'm back on the court, I'll feel like myself again.
Mm-hmm. Now, how nice was it I saw you and Olivia and some of your other friends went to a baseball game the other day. Mm-hmm. How nice was that to just be able to chill and watch sports as opposed to?
Yeah, you have no idea, because when I was in Turkey, everything's locked down, mm-hmm. No spectators, no anything, mask mandates everywhere. And then it was weird. It was like I was like culture shocked almost. It was like shell shocking to come back and go into the Royals game, and I'm like, hey, should I bring a mask? They're like, no, you just walk in and you can have a beer. And I was just so surprised. And then we went to this little section where there was hundreds of young people drinking and watching the game, and I was like, are we supposed to all be in here? And they're like, it's fine, like everyone's vaccinated. So it was just so funny for me. I'm still like catching myself wondering if it's okay. And now that they're like, especially here in the Midwest, everything's kind of more so opened up all the way, and it's just funny. I'm still trying to get back used to being in normal human mode, but it feels good.
Yeah. I mean, especially on college campuses, I can relate to that. Like we have to wear a mask everywhere at Purdue. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I first came home, I went to the gas station by my house, and I walked in with my mask on because it's just a habit. Nobody was wearing a mask. I was like, what the heck is going on?
I know. Yeah, and I mean, some businesses will still say it, but going to the grocery store and stuff and just walking in just feels weird. We've gone almost 13, 14 months wearing a mask everywhere you go. It kind of becomes, phone, wallet, keys, and now mask. And so I think it's going to take a little time for us to get used to not having to grab that and just being free and easy walking into places.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned your wife, Olivia. How did you guys make those trips work when she would come over to visit you in Turkey? And how much, how needed was that for you?
Yeah, it's you got to make it work. It's tough, especially when you both work. She has things to do and things that take her time and energy. So it's trying to find those little soft spots in our schedules that we can see each other, whether it's just 5 days or 3 weeks, you never know. So it's hard, especially with COVID, it was hard to travel, hard to get in and out of countries. You need certain tests to get in. But Olivia did a great job, sacrificed a lot of time and energy to find ways to get out to me, whether it's, like I said, just for like 10 days at a time, or she came out then finally in March or early April for the rest of the season, which was nice. Because before that we had gone 2 months without seeing each other, and that got really hard. But she always kept me positive. We set good schedules during the day when we were apart to talk and really set some time apart to catch up on the day. And with the time zone, you got to make the most of every conversation. So, but when she was out there, everything felt normal. Everything was easier, and I'm really grateful to have someone that's willing to hop on a plane and go over the water to me and experience a new culture and a new country with me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just seeing that on social media was really cool to see. But right before you left Turkey, that whole thing with the bombings in Israel and all that stuff was going on, and I mean, you guys were pretty close together for the two countries. Did you? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, what was going through your mind when all that was happening?
Well, first, it's just unfortunate to see. You don't like seeing people doing that, shooting at each other, and you want every country to get along, and that's just sometimes impossible to happen. But Turkey's not too far from the Israeli-Palestinian conflict right now, and it was definitely in the news, and we were monitoring it. But being in Turkey, you're not in any danger over there. That's a pretty isolated thing. It's just them, and then obviously there's relations around the world, but that situation's pretty well contained in that area. So we no, they didn't even tell us we have to be careful. It was business as usual for us, but. It is always weird being overseas and having things happen like that, just because you feel so much closer and it feels so much more real. When we're over here, it's like, that's over there, that's over there. But then when you're living in it, you're like, that's not too far. It's only an hour flight from us, 2-hour flight. And so yeah, it's definitely talked about more, and it's seen more, and but you learn more. So for me, I was learning a lot of stuff over there about different countries and different relations and cultures, and so it was good for me to kind of broaden my horizons as a person and see life as a foreigner. And I think that was good for me, and I'll take a lot of those lessons that I learned being in different cultures and trying to be a local Russian or a local Turkish man. It was I think really good for me, and it helped me mature a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could only imagine. I've never been over there really out of the country, except for like Canada, which is very much like the United States. So I mean, you have a lot of American guys on your team, guys like Tyler Ennis, Kyle Wiltshire. You both played with in the NBA, Johnson, Marcus Foster, and Kamar Baldwin. How much do you guys kind of help each other get acclimated to going overseas and be there for each other?
Man, that's your support system right there, because your family's not always out there, but those guys are. They're the guys that you can vent to, you can talk to, you can have them over, play some cards, play some video games, just on the road. Those are your guys, because American speakers, English, they have similar backgrounds to you, or from similar places, or you played against them or with them. So you kind of have those similarities going into the season, and then it just grows. And it's one of those things that you go through full 10 months away from families, friends, with these guys, and going through just the lifestyle of being a basketball player in Europe. You form a bond, that you went through together. You got through the season, got through the ups and downs, and you were just supporting each other and looking each other through the good days and the bad days. And that just, grows some lasting friendships. I'll see a lot of these guys, 20, 30 years down the line, and I'm going to cherish those times that we had, and those guys will mean a lot to me. And I think they would say the same about all of us. So, having guys like Johnny O'Brien and Kyle and Nick and Tyler, it's Alan Williams last year and Will Cummings. Just those guys are now much better friends than I ever thought I'd have with them. And just to go through the things we went through, those are cool relationships now that I have, that I can say that, hey, we lived a year in Russia together and we got through it, and we got a year in Turkey together, we got through it, and they can't take that away from us.
And how does that kind of closeness of you guys, of that group, and with your teammates, how does that translate to on the court?
Well, you just build some trust, and you build that's a great question, by the way. Just you get through these days, these long days that you wake up some days you're just not feeling it. You're overseas, you miss your dog or you miss your kids, and then you go to the gym, you see these guys and, you know, they're supporting you. That means a lot, you know, or like, you know, if I hit a shot or if I miss a shot, you know, they got my back. They're great job, Jen. They're picking me up. They're, you know, you cheer a little extra harder for your guys when you're over there, just because everything is just so much more sensitive to us. So, you know, when my guys do well, or if I do well, like you can definitely tell we're playing it up more just because we want everyone to be excited to get through the next day, get through the next game. And yeah, it's just, you grow that bond and you see, oh, you know, Johnny's cheering for me a bunch, you know, I'm going to want to, you know, share the wealth or get him out for him, you know, because he's playing so hard, and, you know, that kind of rubs off on each other, and it turns into, you know, a good bond, and, you know, and then it strengthens your relationship off the court as well.
Mm-hmm. And you said kind of how things over there are more sensitive to you guys as a team. What do you mean by that?
I just think like bad days are worse over there and good days are better. You know what I mean? Like, you know, say you're just not communicating well with, you know, a spouse back home, or, you know, say one of my guys, you know, one of his parents are sick or something, you know, not being able to be there takes, you know, an added toll, you know, and then you become a little more sensitive to little things that may happen on the court, you know, or say Olivia was really busy for 2-3 days, didn't really get a chance to talk to her, you know, you're like, man, I miss, you know, you start missing things more, and then a coach yells at you a certain way, and then you just kind of snap, and it's, you know, you just become a little more raw. So you just got to do a lot of things to mentally keep yourself sharp, engaged, keep yourself just positive, find ways to reassure yourself and build yourself up. And you kind of have to be your own best friend and your own supporter. So early on in the season, it's always tough. I always say like August to October is tough. And then when you get into October and you're like, okay, I'm here, everything's good. And then I think like late February, you hit a wall and you're like, man, I've done like 6-7 months. Like, I just want to get home. I just want to, you know, eat fast food, or just want to, you know, just little things you start missing more. So you just got to find ways to keep yourself positive and just get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Taylor Persons the other day, and he was talking about like he got like released from his contract for going home. I don't know if that's just because of like all the COVID situation, but he was going to see the birth of his child. So I mean, it is it's tough over there.
I know it's weird. The business is tough because there's not as many regulations as you would see in the NBA, where you can't really cut players without cause, or you can't really, you know, if a guy wants to go see the birth of his kid, they're not going to, you know, kind of shame him, or little things like that. It's different. It's just, for example, you know, last night, those fans, you know, one of them poured popcorn on Russell Westbrook, another fan, you know, spit towards Trae Young. Horrible acts, you know, not good at all. I do not agree. Those people shouldn't be able to go to games at all. But reading some of the stuff on Twitter is funny because overseas, a lot of that stuff happens nightly. If there's a full stadium, you know, we had a game last year in Serbia, you know, fans were throwing batteries, lighters, stuff on the, you know, lighting pieces of paper on fire and throwing it on the court. You know, it's a whole different culture and lifestyle, you know, and I have teammates that have gotten spit on, you know, so it's just crazy to see the outrage. They're saying like, our players aren't safe. Well, I mean, that's going to get, you know, security and then the arenas are going to go up, and that's going to stop. But in Europe, it's no man's land. You do what you want. They'll kick the guy out of the gym. He'll find a way to get back in. They'll smoke cigarettes in the crowd. Doesn't matter. You know, it's crazy. So it's just funny seeing like how much my brain has changed since playing overseas with the things I've seen. And, you know, I would obviously be very mad if a fan threw popcorn on me here in the States, but I don't think I would feel like I was in danger. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, but I don't want it to come across as I don't think that I think that's acceptable, because it's not. But just funny, just the different things that are okay in Europe are, you know, they don't fly here.
Dude, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, I did not realize, because I mean, a lot of people say like, oh, soccer fans are really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think of it as as basketball fans. Have people like thrown stuff on you? I'm assuming they have.
Well, yeah, I remember last year we were playing in Serbia in Belgrade, a team called Partizan, and very historic club, a great club, and they have amazing fans. And it was the most fun game I've ever played in. And I remember it was at the free throw line, and a guy threw what did he throw at me? It was like a battery to a phone, to a cell. It was like a cell phone battery, like skipped across my feet. And then and there was like hair clips and some, because there was, if there's a bad call, so they try to find ways to stall the game. So they just end up throwing things on the court. And Kyle Wilcher said that he was playing for Olympiacos, which is one of the biggest clubs in Europe, but it's in Athens, and their fans are wild, and they have a huge rivalry with Panathinaikos. Those are the two big Athens teams, and so their fans are wild. And there's a playoff series between Olympiacos and Pana. They put up a net around the court, and then sees this guy climb up. He's cutting a hole with a scissors through the net and throws a smoke bomb on the court, because Panathinaikos was losing. So the fan thought if he throws smoke bomb on the court, the game will get canceled and that they'll have to replay it. So they have a chance to win the series. And so think about that. Think about if a guy threw a smoke bomb on a court at Staples Center during a playoff game. It would be like the most insane thing ever. But he was like, yeah, they just stalled the game for 30 minutes and we went right back to playing.
That's absolutely insane.
I mean, there's no other way you could say it. It's insane. It's wild.
But yeah, I would have to agree with you that the two things that happened over here in the States were unacceptable, even if it was my favorite team, the Knicks. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, going forward, I know it's kind of more like 1-year contracts or short-term contracts over in Europe and things of that nature. So are you hoping to come back and play over here in the States, and maybe as soon as next season?
I am. That's the goal. That's the hope. That's what we work towards when you go, take a job overseas. It's to prove yourself and prove a couple of things that teams need to see from you. So, that's definitely my goal. That's what's on my agenda, and we're going to push towards that. And if it doesn't happen this year, so be it. Let's keep proving it and keep pushing towards that goal. I'm still young, and played a lot of good basketball, and I think I have a lot of good basketball ahead of me. So, but definitely always on the goal board. That's at the top. If every day I wake up, that's what I hope to be at. That's where I want to be. That's where I see myself playing. So we just got to keep working towards it, doing what we're doing, and these past 2 years have really helped in that journey. And we're hopeful. I'm hopeful. You got to be optimistic about it, and look at it as this is just part of my story, and if this is the route I have to take to get back to where I need to be, so be it. If it doesn't happen, I got to make a long career out of it regardless. So and that's a long-winded answer, but I see myself as an NBA player, and really hope this upcoming year I can throw on a jersey for a team here in the States.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that you've grown in those 2 years since the end of your first NBA stint?
Yeah, just first of all, just mentally, I've matured. Just going through these 2 years, just finding ways to strengthen yourself up mentally. Getting through each day. Things that meant a lot to me and really shook me beforehand. After these 2 years, don't really bother me. You know what I mean? Like, you learn who your close friends are. You learn what's important to you. Your life becomes very simple. In the weirdest way. Like, when you're in the NBA or in the States, you're just inundated with people, opportunity. Then you go to Russia, you go to Turkey, and it's like everything's just like vanilla, right? So you have to figure out ways to make your day, exciting, or keep your brain occupied. And you can't just sit and play video games all day, So I just found ways to just strengthen myself, and I think mentally I've just turned a corner and really matured, and then that's helped my game immensely. It's helped me just confident and be flowing and be myself and shoot the ball well. And it all starts with just my mental practices, and just getting through each day and just getting a little stronger every day. And It really translated to on the court, and hopefully that translates, throughout the summer here, and then hopefully into free agency and get a good job, and I can continue to do that and show that. And that's my hope. So I think I'm in a really good place, mentally. And then, when you're in a good place mentally, everything else kind of falls into line.
Mm-hmm. And during that first stint, I mean, you played with a bunch of all-stars, just studs. I mean, probably one future Hall of Famer for sure, James Harden. But how much did you learn from guys like him and Eric Gordon, Kevin Love, and Blake Griffin?
Yeah, guys like that they're just fun to play with. But you also have to find times that if you're on the court with them, you can't be like, oh, I'm just watching them. You got to be able to you got to snap out of it sometimes because it's so fun to watch, but you have to realize you're on the court, you got to play. But just the biggest thing that I take from those guys is the level of consistency that they bring each night. Think about a guy like James or Blake Griffin or Bradley Beal, John, like these guys that if they have 19 points, people are like, that's an off night. So their level of consistency is so much, their bar of consistency is so much higher than a normal night for them is 28 points, 12 assists. It's just blows my mind to think that's a normal night where, I have 8 points, 5 rebounds, and I'm like, oh, I had a nice night. You know what I mean? So it's crazy the level of consistency that they bring. And, they're getting the best defense on them. They're getting 2 guys thrown at them. And the way they find ways to be themselves every night, regardless of what's thrown at them is super cool. And something that only select guys in the world can do. That's why they're called superstars. I think being able to be up close and personal and playing on the same court as them and watching the way they practice and take care of their bodies and the way they care about their craft. Those are things that I can apply to my daily life. And, I don't think I'll ever be at the superstar level, but even as a role player, I can take some of those lessons and apply them to, how can I be a superstar as a role player? How can I be a star in my role? And just the same way that they are.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're kind of getting close to time. So I wanted to go back and talk about your time at Wisconsin. I mean, how special was it to play for your home state and play for the legendary Bo Ryan?
I mean, that's so cool. Every kid, not every kid, but a lot of kids grow up hoping to play for their, home state school. Right. And I always pictured myself being a Badger growing up and, shooting hoops in the front yard, as a Badger. That was the thing. And when that opportunity presented itself, I couldn't say no. And I was 16 when I got that offer and I had to take it. And, it lived up to its hype and it exceeded it for me, just going to 2 Final Fours with those guys and playing for Coach Ryan and learning life lessons along the way. It's crazy. When you play for a guy like Coach Ryan, when a lot of, the Lou Dosons or the Coach K's or the Roy Williams of the world, the Tom Izzo's, it's crazy. You hear oh, you learn more off the court than on the court. And you're like, yeah. You kind of fluff it off, especially when you're 19 years old, 18 years old. But now that I'm years removed now, I look back and I'm like, I really did learn more in the meetings and in the film sessions. And, the discipline that he makes you have off the court then translate to on the court. And those are the things that I think I'll be able to carry through my life. And, I was really fortunate to play for a legend and, I'm so appreciative of the time I had.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you mentioned those 2 Final Fours. What was that experience like to go to that first Final Four, lose to Kentucky, and then come back and beat them, an undefeated team, which was absolutely insane the following season?
Yeah, no, that's kind of storybook thing too, right? Like they show in the movies, you lose the first year to the team and then you beat the big dogs the second year. And, that was so, looking back on it gets cooler as you look back on it. The more you get removed from it, the cooler it feels. Because when you're in the moment, you're like, yeah, we're supposed to win. You know what I mean? You win a game, you're so competitive after the game in the locker room. You're like, yeah, of course we're supposed to win. That's how it goes. And then you see your fans, you see the Badger fans going berserk. You see them, flooding State Street in Madison, whatever. And it's hard to put yourself in that mindset because you're not a fan in that moment, right? You're focused on your job and winning the game. And now that I can kind of step away from it almost as a fan and still as a Badger fan now, it becomes so cool. What was it, 2 years ago when Wisconsin won the Big Ten, I got more excited for them than I was when I won it. It was like, oh my gosh, like they're winning it. They did it. It's one of those things that just as a fan, you get almost more nervous. And, but now that looking back on it and the times we had and the guys we had and the fun we had with it, it's second to none, that feeling, just playing in front of, 80,000 people in these stadiums and on a small basketball court, and knowing that millions are watching and doing it for your state school and having my family there. I mean, it's really, really, really cool and surreal to say that we did that. And sometimes I wish I would have kind of sat on the court and just like took it all in. And it's hard to do that in the moment, but now I try to kind of be very present in those type of moments, because you realize how fast they go and how quickly they can be taken away from you.
Mm-hmm. And maybe other than that, or maybe this is that moment, but do you have any moments that kind of stick out to you over the course of your career at Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think, a big one would be my first home game. I remember pretty vividly and how nervous I was. And remember my first home game, I had like 9 points. And I remember coming from high school where I averaged like 33, 34 points a game. I had 9 points and I was like, dang, like that's not a lot, right? And all these people were like, wow, you played so good. Like, as a freshman, like you have 9 points. Like, I was like mad at myself, but everyone's like, no, you played so good. And it was weird. Like, I was so nervous. I wanted to do so good. And I felt like I did horrible, but then everyone was telling me I did good. So it was so hard for me to like snap into like, this is my new role. I'm a freshman at this, state school in the Big Ten, but I still had those lofty expectations of myself. And I think that's what helped me so much, especially early on at Wisconsin, is, people expected a lot out of me as like a 5-star recruit, whatnot, but my expectations of myself were so high. So, the moments that I really remember were from like that freshman year, like winning on the road at like Indiana, or like these stadiums that I grew up watching and these student sections I grew up seeing. And like, now I'm the one on the court, like yelling at the student section and hitting big shots as an 18-year-old kid that is an idiot. And, I don't know left from right, but I'm just out there playing a game I love. Those are the moments that I think are, now I look back on like 8 years later and I'm like, wow, that was cool. I was as a young kid playing at, Michigan or in big Minnesota series, like rivalry, things like that really stick out to me, those early years. And then as my role increased to starter, you can't like think like that anymore. You have to like be really locked in, focused or whatever. So a lot of those like sweet sentimental moments kind of bring me back to my first year on campus, and where I was just, a kid with lofty dreams and trying to get through each day without tripping over my shoelaces.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you also went undefeated in Mackey Arena too. So,
yep.
I mean, you guys.
We did. And that's not an easy place to play though. That is a tough place. We actually went there my sophomore year, and I think we were in a 6-game losing streak, and winning there kind of put us back on the right direction to heading into the NCAA tournament. But yeah, not an easy place to play. I mean, but no place in the Big Ten is easy to play. That's what I try to tell people, is like, if you can win on the road in the Big Ten, like, you're a legit team, because, these student sections, these weird gyms, these, weird road trips, small cities, it's tough to do. And, but getting those wins on the road feels so good.
Mm. All right, man, I'm gonna have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for coming,
of course,
taking the time to do this. It was really special.
Yeah.
And tell Olivia I said hello, and
I will.
Thank you for connecting.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks so much, and great conversation. Really good questions, and I appreciated talking with you over some good memories.
Yes, sir. All right, stay safe.
All right, man. Thanks. See ya.